Hello, we are going to be talking about the secret for effective face-to-face networking. Have you ever been to a networking session and just not known exactly what to do and kind of end up lurking around the edges of the room or slightly awkwardly approaching people? If it's a work event, do you feel like you're taking up senior executives or maybe even clients' time and it feels slightly icky or slightly salesy or just generally just a bit uncomfortable? Or do you ever find yourself just feeling a little bit less than in a networking scenario? Well, if you do, you are absolutely not alone. I've just been working with a large group in London Financial Institution, and we were talking all about this with very, very senior women who are incredible at their jobs. And yet the majority of them felt this level of discomfort when it came to face-to-face networking. So you are not alone if you feel any of those things. And today we're going to talk about the secret and then the three things that fall out of that secret of how to feel really, really comfortable in those networking scenarios. And I have to say, it's really rare for me to meet anybody who out and out just loves networking. And especially if you are a female, if you're a woman who's working in, say, a traditionally male dominated institution or marketplace, then it can feel really difficult, particularly if you're younger. And so you end up talking to a lot of older male. It can feel really quite difficult, especially if there's any kind of power dynamic going on. So I promised you the secret. So what is the secret to really effective face-to-face networking? Well, essentially, it comes back down to agency. The thing is, networking is kind of unwritten, right? There are some rules about it, but it's sort of unwritten. And so nobody really knows how to play the game. Nobody's really quite sure. And unless you know loads and loads of people there and you've got really, really strong contacts, everybody feels a little tiny bit adrift, which means nobody really knows how to take control of the situation. Therefore, the secret is if you can take agency over yourself, others, and the situation, it's going to feel a lot more comfortable for you. And as a result, the people that you're interacting with are also going to feel a lot more comfortable because you are taking control. So it's really about agency, taking control of yourself, of others, and of the situation. So there are some do's and don'ts around this. So first of all, the first thing is don't lurk. Take agency over your body. So when you're walking up to, say, a group of people or an individual, walk up with purpose. Don't sort of sidle up and stand slightly awkwardly to one side, not quite knowing how to get in, because that shows you're not quite certain of your position. It means the group or the individual doesn't really know how to react to you. So walk up with absolute purpose to that individual, making sure your hand is out early on, making sure that group, somebody across the group from you, can see you're making eye contact and see that you want to get into the conversation in the group. By not lurking and taking absolute agency of your own body language and the narrative that your body is telling, it's going to make it much easier for people to accept you coming into their spaces. As I said, make sure you make direct eye contact. And when you do enter a group, particularly group, not so much with a one-to-one, but I see this often with a group. If you enter a group, don't apologize. Don't apologize physically by making yourself smaller and doing these sort of little semi-bows that I often see people do. And don't apologize verbally. It's just a straightforward, hello, lovely to meet you. You were talking about, I interrupted, please go on. So that you're handing the baton back to the other individual. So don't lurk, take agency over your body. Second thing, take agency over what you're saying. So sell yourself in a really pleasant and authentic way. And that doesn't mean you need to go in and be the all singing, all dancing, I'm amazing at my job. Absolutely not. But authentically talking about what you're really good at and why you do what you do is really valuable for the people in the room. And I'll give you an example of this. I was working with a lady recently, and she happened to have trained as a criminologist. So she was one of those people that turn up in the forensic team at the beginning of a crime and assess a crime scene. She now works in data analytics. And so as we were talking, she's like, oh, actually, you know what? I take a really forensic approach to my data analysis. I was like, that's brilliant. Let's get that into your networking pitch. So now that's what she talks about. I trained as a criminologist and I have an incredibly forensic approach to my data analysis. And that made her good at this and that and the other. And it was just like, oh, because who doesn't want to know what a criminologist does? Everybody. So the more you can bring in like your life and the things that you've done and make your language interesting, you're taking agency over the conversation. You're encouraging conversation rather than download, which is really, really powerful. So making sure that when you are speaking, you're using assertive, positive language that feels authentic to you. So like I say, it's not about saying I'm all singing, I'm all dancing, but it is about confidently asserting what it is you're really good at and how you can help other people. Now, the third thing you really need to take agency over is your voice. So we need a strong voice in these scenarios. And often that means audible, right? There's a bunch of people around you making an awful lot of noise. There's glasses clinking. There's all kinds of other things going on. So make sure that your voice is nice and strong and audible. And for women in particular, that means strong and audible all the way through to the end of the sentence. What you don't want is a really strong beginning and then it's sort of dropping away into nothing towards the end and it becomes slightly weaker, right? So we want all the way through the end of the sentence, really strong, really supported voice so that the other people can hear you. So it's kind of mannerly, right? Being able to be heard. Don't make the other person lean in or have to concentrate really hard. So really, really strong vocal all the way to the ends of the sentence. The other thing around voice is about asking questions. So don't make the conversation all about you. Ask really powerful questions to the other people. What's going on for them? And I often talk in these scenarios about having open questions are really important, but don't make them too open. So for instance, say you're networking in the evening after a conference. Don't say, how are you enjoying the conference? It's kind of too big, right? So which speaker did you think was most amazing today? Or what have you learned today that was so interesting? So that it's open, so they can answer it in any kind of way, but it is also specific. So it's not too difficult for them to think about the answer. And again, with a really strong voice when you do that. So my summary, the secret to really effective face-to-face networking, it comes down to agency. Most people don't know what to do in a networking session when they don't know loads of people and don't have deep relationships. So take agency, take control over yourself, your body, the situation, and the conversation. And people will be really, really grateful for you for doing that. It'll help them feel more safe and more secure and like you really, really know what you're doing. And it'll help you feel much more in control, less like you are bothering people or taking up their time. And the chances are you're going to make really effective connections at the same time. I hope you found this useful. If you want to develop executive presence in a much more authentic and consistent way, come and join our free training. The link is down below. Take care, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.